All right, what's going on, everybody? Train the Trader here with another breakdown of one of my plays from this past week. Um, let's get into it. We are on MU, ticker symbol MU, which is Micron Technologies. Now, Micron, if if you've been in the market, you know about Nvidia, you know about AI, you know about chip sectors these chip sectors just running on a tremendous bull run. And so with that information and that knowledge, there's plays to be made and money to be made on these plays, right? So as we're charting, like I'm always doing when I'm looking for these plays, I'm looking for if we're above or below the 200 EMA first and foremost. Yes, we are. Now, I'm on a 6-month daily chart right now, so each one of these candles is a day. Now, I want to do something here because this is how I find areas of supply and demand. I'm going to take my cursor here and draw a rectangle box going from the top of the last major resistance area that we had previous to the current price. Now, one could argue that this up here could be a demand zone, and one would be correct. And this is how we draw that from the very top of that price. You can even do the bottom of that candle, and that's creating a major supply zone. So, how you want to think about supply and demand? We demand more as people. So demand zones are always at the bottom because we're demanding more. They want to supply us with less. So supply zones are at the top. Supply less, demand more. Can supply and demand zones change from supply and demand? The answer is yes. So this was a supply zone prior to this, right? We have price down here, ran up, came back down, retested, and went up, boom, hit his head on the ceiling, and then dropped down. So this was a supply zone, or some would call it a resistance, right? Zones are wider in price range. Resistance areas are direct private or are direct price targets. So I'll give you an example. This is a supply zone, right? And how do we make it resistance? Just like this here. We take this. This would mark our resistance right there at $90. See that line, that blue line? That's a resistance point in a supply zone. I hope that makes sense. So, can supply turn to demand? Yes. Can resistance turn to support? Yes. And I'm going to show you guys that exactly right now. So this was a supply zone. We're supplying less, right? So we bounce, rejected off of this resistance and supply zone back down to a demand or support zone. So I can draw another demand zone right here at the bottom of this area, right to the top of that candle. That gives me my demand zone. Now, I'm not doing this in this video, but normally I would change the color of these depending on where the price is at. So since this is a supply turned into demand, because we get this bounce off of it, it goes to the upside. So now that supply zone became a demand zone right here. Okay, that's how we chart supply and demand zones. So from this point, came up here, ran up, boom. So we get another supply zone and another point of resistance right here, which I'm going to draw. Another a resistance. Sorry, get my words crossed, saying it too much. Right there, call it 101.85. Resistance point, supply zone. We rejected off of this resistance point out of the supply zone down to the old supply, which has now become demand. Everybody see that? I hope y'all see that. So that demand zone, to me, is a point of interest because this becomes an area where I could be looking to go long or short in my options plays. So, me seeing this and understanding that this is now a demand zone based off of our previous price action, I'm looking for long wick candles just like this red candle right here, to show me just how strong or weak, excuse me, this area is. And as you can see, it was pretty strong because we had a major move to the downside right here that was quickly rejected, which means buyers came in really quick and pushed this price back up to this level. So I'm seeing that on the charts and I'm like, okay, that looks like a major bounce off of a demand zone that was once a supply zone. So for me, I'm looking for call entries because I'm expecting the price to go up from here. So that's exactly what I did, folks. Micron being in the semiconductor sector, them running right along with Nvidia, Meta, even though they're not even though they're not chip producers, but they're still in the mix. AMD's another one. Micron, Taiwan Semi, all of them been running. So I placed a call on this day here, and I'm currently in that trade, and I am up. Not by much, but we're up, and my expiration isn't until March 28th. So this time, my expectation, just like in that Microsoft play, is that if it continues to the upside, we can reclaim this 9 EMA right here. If it continues to the upside, then we're going to go challenge this supply zone. I would be looking to take profits right around here in this area because once we get back into the supply zone, there's really no telling what's going to happen. Right now, we look bullish. We're above the 200 EMA, just bounced off of that demand zone, looking like we're going to go back and retest this supply. So that's exactly what I'm anticipating. I'll let you guys know how this trade works out. I hope y'all learned something from this video. We just continue, man. We continue to strive for these plays. This is my number one setup. Break and retest, some people call it, or bounces and rejections off of supply and demand zones with heavy volume. Now, one thing that I as I just said that, I'm looking at the volume down here and you see this huge influx of buyers on this day that I bought this call. Now, it went as high as 94.72 and it closed Friday at 93. So it pulled back a little bit, but we're not discouraged by that because the technicals are still showing strong, and this huge bar of volume right here is a great indication that we will continue to the upside and go test this supply zone here. All right, that's all I got for y'all today. Train the trader here, breaking down charts, sharing my mentality, teaching myself, and if I teach somebody else in the process, hey, icing on the cake. We locked in, baby. Train the trader out.